We are back. And today we're talking heaven and hell, baby. Yeah, we're going there. Well, that's actually a great place to start. That heaven and hell, according to Vedanta, they're not geographical places. Even according to early Christian church leaders or Abrahamic religion and its core has never really thought of heaven or hell as geographical places. It's more of a modern convention in the last few hundred years, starting with the Protestant Reformation to take these biblical accounts as literal accounts. I'm not here to debate that, but I will present the Vedantic case. And the Vedanta case is that heaven and hell are mental states that we find ourselves in. This is an obvious contrast to the idea that these are places you go to after you die. It suggests that these are states in which you can experience here and now. When it comes to this concept of heaven and hell, I always think about a story that Ram Dass would tell about this great big samurai warrior going up to this meek and mild monk, saying, "Teach me about heaven and hell." And the monk looking up at him, pausing for a moment, kind of taking this big brute in, and looks at him and says, "Teach you? Teach you? You big oaf. You probably couldn't understand anything if I tried to teach you. You? There's no way I could teach you." He continues to insult the samurai warrior, and before long, the samurai warrior bows up, pulls out his sword, and says, "I could slice you into a million pieces." To which the monk replies, "That is hell." The samurai realizes that the monk was willing to lay down his life to teach him this concept that the samurai warrior is brought to a tear. His body doesn't just relax, but it sinks with appreciation, gratitude, of an experience of selflessness that the warrior had never seen before. He welled up with that appreciation and now that understanding, to which the monk said, "And that's heaven." These two states that we can find ourselves in, maybe in the course of a day, that mental agitation in which we're willing to make not only one of the biggest mistakes that we could, but sabotage our lives, that experiential peace. These two contrasts, these mental states, are heaven and hell. And we experience them often. When it comes to this topic, I also think about the fact that, and Swamiji will say this so often in lectures, that the entire tragedy of a Shakespearean play, when it comes to a tragedy like Macbeth, Othello, comes down to one decision that the main character makes, and everyone is dead at the end. Heaven and hell might not be geographical places, but we have all experienced one or the other based on decisions we've made, attachments we have, the clarity we either had or lacked in a given scenario, or the capacity to see the end in the beginning, to avoid a fateful mistake, or to learn from one we've made. At the surface level, in today's reflection, you might take this as a dismissal of heaven and hell and the cosmic implications of our conventional way that we talk about heaven and hell. And that's not what this is. This is with a deeper understanding This is actually bringing those consequential elements to the foreground, not to something that happens after you die 20, 50, 70 years from now. But it's actually a recognition and reflection that we hang on the precipice of each of these states, in each moment of every day. And based on the clarity, the capacities, the choices that we make, we can fall into one or the other. We can live deliberately and choose a peaceful mental state through cultivation of your intellect, cultivation of healthy detachment, cultivation of clarity. Or we can fall into intense agitation, personal demise, self-sabotage on an epic level, oftentimes based on one decision. In the case of Shakespearean tragedy, it's typically a decision around ego and desire. And though they are not geographical places, the consequential implications of such mental states, in this Vedantic sense, takes it from something that is in the distant, vague, almost unimaginable future and brings it to the here and now. As Christ said, the kingdom of heaven is within you. That is today's reflection on the Daily Vedantic. We will see you next time. Thanks for listening to the Daily Vedantic. This reflection is part of a free repeating 2-year course in Advaita Vedanta. Rooted in the timeless wisdom of the Upanishads, arguably the oldest philosophical texts on earth, you can begin with episode 1, which gives the 15-minute overview of the whole philosophy of Vedanta, or you can join the journey with any episode at any point. But the critical aspect of this course, of understanding and mastering anything, is to study and reflect, even for 10 to 15 minutes on the timeless each day, preferably at the start of your day. As is said in this philosophy, reflection is 100,000 times as powerful as listening. So listen, journal, sit with, discuss these concepts, or ask questions at thedailyvedantic.com with our AI-powered chatbot, informed by about 700 episodes here, as regularly as one can, if you want to see clarity and peace almost effortlessly unfold in your daily life. And if it doesn't result in a near immediate increase in clarity and peace, then toss aside and feel free to never listen again. One of the things that you might notice is after 7 or 8 days in a row, this doesn't feel like a discipline. This feels like a visit with a best friend to dive into the timeless with daily reflection. Within a few days, it becomes one of your favorite parts of the day. You can also find out more, including news about in-person events in Los Angeles and beyond, at the Daily Vedantic on Instagram, or through our weekly newsletter at thedailyvedantic.com. Additionally, check out the links in our show notes for more resources like the books that are mentioned most frequently in the episodes, including Vedanta Treatise, perhaps the simplest and most straightforward read on this philosophy I've ever come across. Until next time, and from the entire team that works on the Daily Vedantic project, thanks for listening.